first thing that comes to mind is a sense of community. Ever since I've been a kid, Paisley has always been a place where you're never really alone, and when people are needing help, there's always somebody to put their hand out to give you a hand, and that's very comforting, and I think it says a lot about the town. And of course we're all called buddies. But I go back to my early childhood. I grew up in Underwood Road in a tenement that was really not fit for to stay in, but there was 12 families in this building, and we all had one thing in common: we were poor, but we were rich in friendships. And I remember maybe I had the measles or some illness. There would be somebody at my mum's door wanting to do the washing. Somebody would come with a pot of soup. And my mum would do exactly the same if it was another family. And everybody's door was always open. So there was this great sense of community, friendship. And because we were all the same, nobody stole from each other or anything like that, because we're all the same. But it's something that stuck with me through my life, of how you help each other, and that's how you get through life. And I also remember as well, when I got to about 9-year-old, my mother decided that I was old enough to go up the town on my own. So on a Saturday morning, I'd meet up with my pal Lewis, who stayed in the next close, and we'd get our pocket money and we'd go to the Miners, which was a great thing in these days, because television was pretty poor. It started about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but a Saturday was a great day to go out with your pals. So after we went to the Miners, we'd maybe go to the Yankee Mags in Walker Street and get the latest American magazines, maybe the Superman or the Batman comics. And I wish I still had them, because they're worth a fortune now. But that was part of our Saturday, and we'd still have some money left, because the money was elastic, it stretched well, and we'd go and buy sweets. And at that age, 9, 10-year-old, going up the town on your own or with your pals, it was an adventure. And we'd go walking around the town, looking at different shops we'd never seen before. And that developed as I got older. And then when I got sort of early teens, we'd meet up at the record shop in Gilmer Street, Cuthbertson's, and we'd buy a record. Yeah. And we were developing our own styles. And of course, fashion, this was the early 60s, fashion was becoming a very, very big thing. And Paisley had an amazing array of shops. Some of the gents' fashion shops were just brilliant. Cowan's Man shops, Stylecraft with some great American shirts like the Ben Sherman's, which I just loved. So you'd maybe go and buy a shirt, and then you'd maybe go into one of the cafes and you'd get a Coke, and that Coke would last for hours. And you shoved sixpences into the jukebox and you'd be playing all the latest stuff. And there was amazing cafes in Paisley. A lot of Italian families all settled in the town, and were accepted really well, and it was just a great community. But the cafes have been in my memory ever since, because it's where you met new people. You know, everything was fresh. And the early 60s was a great time of discovery. People were developing their own styles. We weren't copying our parents anymore. We were maybe rebelling quite a bit as well. We had our own fashions, with our own music, and it just developed and developed. And then along came like the pop shows, and Paisley had 2 amazing pop shows very close to each other. In 1968, I think it was, the ice rink was a real hub in Paisley, and so many things went on there. There was wrestling, there was boxing, there was ordinary skating, and the ice hockey, and the pop concerts. Well, one of the pop concerts had The Who and the Small Faces. Another one had Amen Corner and Love Affair. Absolutely mobbed, but it was great because you were seeing all the guys who were on top of the pops right in front of you. The atmosphere was just wonderful. And again, these are the things that stay with you throughout your life. Paisley was not short of things to do or happening things. And of course with St Mirren as well. And when St Mirren won the cup, the town was buzzing. And the great thing about St Mirren winning the cup, their cup could be presented round the town. Rangers and Celtic couldn't have that luxury. We did, and we made the most of it. And I remember in 1987, the town for days was absolutely buzzing. And what the town gets from that is incredible. But going back again, when I was growing up, we had incredible industry in Paisley. We had huge companies who employed hundreds of people every year. We had a great shopping centre as well. I mean, I think it was Disraeli, one of his famous quotes was, "Keep your eye on Paisley," because this was where it was happening, you know. Unfortunately, we're not so lucky these days, as most towns are the same. But Paisley still has a glowing future. I think our future lies in our past. The way we're developing the town just now with the museum, I think, will become one of the top 10 attractions in Scotland. We're opening up the town hall again, it's getting refurbished. And over the last few years, we have a lot of pop concerts that have all sold out and all been brilliant. So there's a lot of good people in Paisley who are very creative and don't mind rolling their sleeves up and getting stuck in. We're extremely lucky as well that we have a huge array of talented artists, whether it's from the world of art, music and other areas. You've got Paolo Nutini, who at the moment is playing in America. You've had John Byrne, great writer, Sandy Stoddart, who's a great sculptor. You know, loads and loads of people. Jerry Rafferty as well. Jerry Rafferty is one of the greatest songwriters of the 70s, you know. When I think of Paisley, I think of it fondly. And if you look around the buildings we have as well, we're very fortunate that people who were making the money in the 1800s invested in the town by building the town hall, by building churches, and we have the legacy of the fountain gardens as well. I mean, it has a fountain in there that's world renowned, as well as the Robert Burns statue. The Burns statue is said to be the best in the world as well. Now that's one little park holds two iconic monuments. That's something to shout about. But Paisley is definitely the most wonderful place to come from. Paisley's contributed loads for me because it's where I've always stayed in the north end of Paisley. I've worked most of my life in Paisley. I ran a business for 40 years in Paisley as well. All my friends are in Paisley. I spend my leisure time in Paisley. I don't really need to go anywhere else. It's here for me, you know. The Fountain Gardens was where I played. I grew up at the beginning of Greenock Road. So my pals and I would play in the park. And of course, your parents knew where you were. And the rule was, when the street lights come on, you get in the house, you know. So there was no issues. But the Fountain Garden was always a great place to play. And it's a very special place for me. You know, I was very lucky that I was voted in as a councillor a number of years ago. And one of my roles was to help get funds to do up the fountains. And I was a very proud person when that was switched on again and it came to life. It was just amazing. In fact, we had an opening day for it, and the provost came along to sort of rededicate it. And the council thought, only a couple of hundred will come along. Wrong. Loads of people came from all over the place, and it was amazing because people sort of met folk they hadn't met for years because of the fountains. That's where you played, and it was just amazing to watch that. And every time I passed the Fountain Gardens, I got a wee glow just looking at it and seeing it working the way it should be. and it's a magnificent structure. Well, I'm a football lover, and my passion, is with football. When I was about 10-year-old, I used to stand outside the park and get a lift over. And of course, there comes a point when they're like, "Nope, lifting you over, son, I'll break my back," So you pay in and you go in with your pals, and your Saturday afternoon routine becomes going to see St Mirren. And it's good times and bad times. When the bad times are bad, they are bad. But when St Mirren win cups, that makes it so special. And it puts Paisley on the map as well. We've played in Europe, maybe not too successfully, but we've been there, so we can always say that. But, again, St Mirren are part of the community of the town and play an important role. And I'm proud to be a Buddie.